This is Story Route Zero, a podcast where friends gather to talk of their travels through the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, and even the confusing worlds encountered in games. We may not always know where we're going, but that's often half the fun. Do you have a question, comment, concern, or a story of your own? Hit us up on Twitter at storyroute_0. You can email us at storyroute0@gmail.com, and you can find everything we do at storyroute0.com. Let's have a journey. I am so tired, but welcome to Story Route Zero. My name is Matthew. I've got some friends with me. We talk about video games. Mouth from the South, Moose, how are you?
Doing well, man. How are you? Doing good?
As I said, I'm tired. I just quoted the Beatles song. Also, cranking out reviews like it's his job at Obilisk, Jason Marshall. How are you, sir?
Doing well. You? Tired?
I mean, tired.
I didn't know there was a lyric with Story Route Zero in it. That was impressive.
Well, hey, Lennon and McCartney, they were ahead of their time. Too far, one might say. And we have a fourth this week. That's not Captain Canada, once again. But I'm going to say a coworker of Jason's because that's how
I guess technically.
She was also a multi-time guest on Nerds Gone Platinum. She's a very big fan of JRPGs, if I remember correctly. Michaela, how are you?
I am good. I'm probably as tired as you are.
Please tell me you don't work overnights because I won't wish that on anybody.
No, I don't work overnights. I just don't sleep. But not as bad as Jason.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, do you have children? I don't know.
Absolutely not. I have no excuse.
Oh, okay. All right. That's totally fine. I mean, Jason just uses that as an excuse. I'm pretty sure he's been that way his entire life.
That's funny.
And I don't mean that in an offense, Jason.
Yeah, about 15 or so years.
Okay. All right. So Michaela, before we go any further, tell the possible listeners of a new podcast about yourself, if you could.
I, no surprise here, write for this site called Obilisk that Jason recently joined, has been pumping out reviews for like crazy. We do video game culture, editorial pieces, reviews, you name it. Try to be not your typical news site, go beyond that. I used to stream. I play a lot of JRPGs, like you mentioned. Been playing since I was probably 4 or 5 years old and just never quite kicked the habit. And now I choose JRPGs over sleep on a regular basis.
I mean, I would call that clean living. Except some JRPGs get real weird, so I'm not sure how clean they are. Some of them, I mean, we can all agree, some of them get weird.
Just a few.
Just a few.
They've got some tropes and some stereotypes.
And some gender issues.
What, do you mean lack of clothes is a gender issue?
What? No. Well, I mean, look. I'm not gonna culturally deep dive on 20-year-old JRPGs, but you go back and say like they're pretty misogynist, and that's at the nicest. So yeah. So anyway, so welcome. We're happy to have you. And now before we get to games, how was everybody's weekend? Let's start with you since we're talking. How was your weekend? What'd you do? Not necessarily games related, but like
I didn't really do much besides play video games. I walked to the grocery store. Yeah, no, I pretty much just play video games.
I'm jealous because I have not touched a game console in a week. It's weird. So you actually were just stuck in the habit.
Yeah, I mean, I had scheduled plans, like one of those like times you schedule plans to play with somebody you haven't hung out with in a long time.
Oh, okay.
So I did that, and then I've also recently had a new JRPG addiction that I can't let go of. So that and my walk to Trader Joe's pretty much comprises the whole weekend.
Nice.
Sweet. I mean, you got some cardio in, so that's good.
Yes, totally healthy, clean living.
I mean, the balanced diet, cardio and grinding. Moose, how was your weekend, sir?
It was good, man. Got to see Bad Boys for Life, the latest one, Bad Boys 3, I guess. Watched that this weekend with the wife. Hopped back into some Dark Souls co-op with some friends trying to get their PvP characters leveled. And then also, since the Division is currently sitting at $2.99 on the North America PSN store for $3.20 after tax, I jumped back into that. A bunch of my friends picked that up, and so we've been playing that. Got to play that. I streamed it on Sunday. So I have it, for those who probably don't know. Well, you probably have, if you didn't listen to Nerds Gone Platinum. We've played the game. Me and Jeff have beaten it. We don't have the platinums yet, but now I think this is going to push me to get the platinums, because I think I just needed a break from the game, because I'm back in the game and I'm really enjoying it. And so for the stream, I just started a character from scratch, just to like go over like if anybody had any questions while they jumped in my stream. And so had a pretty good, awesome viewership for the stream, so that was good.
Awesome.
And then ended it, I think I'm level 15. So I was like level 15 when I stopped. So I streamed for like.
Did you restart a character? Is that?
Yeah, I did. Just for the stream. I have my regular character, which I was rolling tonight, but I did seem to find that like there's some bugs with the game. Like my stream hit an issue like 2 hours in, so I had to restart it. Like it was streaming like normal through Twitch, but like I wasn't seeing any comments from anybody. I'm like, the chat's like pretty quiet for how like they were talking like pretty regularly just like a second ago. And so I quit and restarted, and so apparently it was freezing on the other end. And then last night playing with some buddies, one of the guys that was the host of the party, he like got dropped a bunch of times and then was able to rejoin his session. Then his mic was muted. And I was playing tonight. So like the missions have difficulty levels like normal, hard, challenging, and then heroic. And I got dropped. I was just in a challenging mission, and it just dropped me. And I was like, well, they are probably seeing a huge influx of people playing that game because it's only $3. So it's just gotta grit and bear it. So, but anyways, other than that, that's pretty much it. Just playing some video games and watching some movies. So
I'm jealous of the video games part. Jason, how was your weekend?
Well, I just wanted, you're on a downward spiral. You played a phone game last week. Now you played no games.
Well, I didn't play no games.
Uh-oh.
I just didn't play console games.
Uh-oh.
Good weekend. Busy. Friday, both me and the wife have half days, so we had a gay Valentine's Day date. We got subs, watched Knives Out. Good movie. Really enjoyed it.
I second
Cool.
that.
I still want to see that, but yeah.
And then Saturday, my in-laws came, so we got to go out to an actual dinner.
Cool.
With no kids throwing food anywhere.
So the adults threw food, am I right?
Yeah. We went for Greek, so I threw pita right in her face.
Nice.
Awesome.
And then we did a little home renovation. We switched the dining room and the playroom for more space.
Okay.
So that was a one-day project because the dog would have destroyed stuff. So it was like had to start and finish.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Finished a review, worked on another review, thinking about my next review.
Look at you, organized.
Yeah.
So jealous. Okay, so I'll talk about what I did. I watched the NBA All-Star game this weekend, or actually I watched most of All-Star weekend. One of my favorite sporting events that essentially does not mean anything. Because if you've ever watched any sort of all-star event for anything, they're not playing very hard. But the NBA this year turned around. They changed up the format where each of the first three quarters are an actual game unto themselves, where they reset the score to 0, and winner donates $100,000 to charity. And they had 2 charities picked, and it was a cool thing. And then the fourth quarter, you add the cumulative score of the team that's ahead plus 24 points. So it's basically first team to get to 24, unless you're the team that's behind, you have to score more. And then that winner donates $300,000 to their charity. And as interesting as an interesting turn would have it, it made a historically unimportant game actually worth watching. It was actually super cool to see, like, you know, Giannis really going after LeBron, and all teams like arguing with the refs over fouls in an all-star game. It actually made the supposed best players in the league look like they're playing to their skill level, and it was super interesting. Saturday night was like the skills challenge, dunk contest, 3-point contest. Those were the first 2 were kind of, you know, rote in my opinion. Like, you know, you're watching someone shoot threes, you know, for 45 seconds, and top most points wins. You know, not really going to mess with that format. But the dunk contest this year, a lot of 50s. A lot of dunks worth 50s, and I think Aaron Gordon was robbed by Derrick Jones Jr. But it was actually one of the best one of those I've seen probably since Vince Carter was regularly participating.
Yeah, I was gonna say regular in the league. He's been in the league.
He's still. I keep forgetting he's still in it. It's so weird knowing that. Well, Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace. But it's so weird knowing he's retired and Vince Carter is still playing, because I'm pretty sure, like, Carter was in the league a year before Bryant was, and he's still there, and he's still, like, he can still jump the way he did, which is crazy. But I genuinely like that. I won't keep it on sports balls for too long. Also watched a ton of movies, mostly artsy European films, actually I watched a couple of Japanese films this weekend. They were good.
Nice.
But I watched a 2019 film called Ma, and
the one with what's her name?
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah, I knew it. Okay, the comedy. Well, comedy slash the trailer. Yeah, I know what it is.
It's one of those movies that, like, I think the trailer. Well, most movies of this ilk, you know, the trailer is like the big selling point. Trailer made it look very, very interesting, but like about 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be that again. Okay. And then it just never really got off the ground. But I think Octavia Spencer delivers a masterful performance along the lines of Kathy Bates in Misery. You know, but obviously she's not capturing someone beating them to a pulp for weird reasons. And then I watched Snowpiercer.
Great movie.
A movie I've not seen.
Even better graphic novel.
Oh yeah, I actually did not know it was a graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was it's a story by a French author, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, the movie's still good. And I forgot that Octavia Spencer was in that as well. So yeah, those are the 2 predominant highlights. And then I tried watching a Chinese film from a couple years ago called Long Day's Journey into Night. But then I saw that last week Tonight was back, so I watched that instead. So I have to get back to that. But that's all my non-game stuff. Let's get to games. I'm going to start with you, Jason, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You got an 88th Platinum on Sparklight, didn't you?
I did, finally. I just sat down and I was like, I'm going to finish this. One of my favorite indie games from last year.
Yeah.
And I had 2 trophies left. I was like, just going to sit and do this. I got to 1 and I'm like, okay, I'm not.
Is it grindy?
No, it was, but they fixed the issue. I think I had a bug that they didn't know about at first. I mean, a lot of people they're very responsive on Twitter.
Yeah.
So there are tons of patches.
That's cool.
Nice.
And it's if you look for it, it's one of those things. If you start it when you start the game, it's not as bad. And they added like counters to see exactly where you have to go. I had to do 98% of it blind. And then they added like a counter. I was like, oh, you have to find 2 more of these things, and they're here and here. I'm like, son of a. Like, I thought it was the other regions because they were like, and the first was they were color coded, and I'm asking Jess and Aria like, what color are these? Because I don't know where to look.
The reason I started with you is because I knew this was going to be a story. I knew that there was going to be something like this.
And actually, I submitted my trophy guide on PSN Profiles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been working on it, and I wanted to finish it before I submitted it. I mean, you could submit it whenever, but I was like, I want the platinum first.
Yeah. I think wasn't it PlayStation trophies? You only have to have half the trophies in order to submit a trophy guide, which is oddly, that's an odd choice of timing. But anyway, what else you play?
So
I know you turned in some reviews.
I did. My first one was Dead Cells Bad Seed. The DLC came out Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a good DLC. I think the best part of the DLC is it's right in the beginning. It's kind of like when we were playing Remnant and we stumbled upon Leto's Armory.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
that. It's just there. You don't have to do end game. You don't have to like it's one of the exits in the prisoner's quarters.
It's not like a Dark Souls DLC where you have to get through half of the game and then do a weird little dance in order to access this little portal that'll take you back in time, because Souls games.
Yeah, so it's not end game, but it unlocks blueprints, obviously, if you play Dead Cells to use later.
Yeah.
Nice.
I beat it 3 or 4 times and then just kept going, and I beat the game a couple times farming.
Nice.
It's a great game. It really is. It's just such a phenomenal game. And that's the first paid expansion. It's actually the third expansion, I think, but the first paid.
Yeah, what were did the other expansions have? They just had weapons, if I remember correctly, or did
weapons
they
and levels?
Did they have other levels?
But you need 5 blood cells and 6.
Oh,
so it was like end game content. Like it was very I haven't even. I'm on 3.
You got the platinum. Do it again.
Essentially. What else did I play? Played a little more Control. Having fun with Jesse Faden.
Cool.
I got Shatter, the pistol that's really a shotgun.
Oh, yeah. You said Shatter, and all of a sudden I thought, I'm like, wait, the PS3 game came out on PS4 and no one told me?
What else did I play?
Because that would have brought me to a console for sure.
I've been playing because I'm working on a review for Kanai. I'm still playing that.
Okay.
That's a fun game. It's like such a simple concept, but it's done so well. It's just, it feels good playing. Like, it shouldn't be allowed to control this easily.
Nice.
Like, it really controls well.
Okay.
And then, I played a little of, I played a PC game. What?
Uh-oh.
2 of them, actually.
You don't look like Matt Phillips. You have hair.
I played more of Stone Shard, which I mentioned last week, the game I kickstarted. And I played Vigil, The Longest Night. It was on there was a giveaway on Fextra Life about like just go on their Discord, ask for a key, and they'll give them out. I'm like, okay. Nice. It feels like
I want some free stuff.
It feels like Bloodstained.
Okay.
The way the movement is, the platforming. It's not as colorful. It's drab. There's some localization to work out, so a lot of text. Well, I can't read.
Right.
It's a open. It was open beta, so it was obviously
Okay.
rough, but it's definitely something I added to my wish list. I think if it comes to console, I definitely would check it out.
Nice.
It's a side-scrolling platformer.
You have my attention.
You get multiple weapons. I had a sword, 2 daggers, a bow. You can just interchange. You could throw Molotovs. You could throw dynamite. It has rolling for the dodge, but it's not just like you could roll through the enemies and come back the other, and they move.
It's like the Dead Cells roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little slower, though. The game's definitely a more slow pace.
Okay.
But it's something I'm going to keep an eye on.
Okay.
And I think that's that was it.
Okay. Michaela.
Games.
My list is a little shorter.
What kind of weird stuff you get up to this weekend?
Well, I really only played like 3 games recently. One of them was only briefly, and it was for the first time, and I sucked. So a friend of mine that I went back in my streaming days, he really wanted to hang out. He wanted to play something, so we had to look for games that we both had. And I had grabbed Titanfall 2 when it was free in December for PS Plus. Yeah. And my goal for this year is to add FPS into my library because I've been so focused on like linear, story-driven RPGs. I try to add a new genre every year. Like last year was platformers, and before that it was Souls-likes and Soulsborne. This year it's going to be FPS. So Titanfall 2, Borderlands on the list.
You picked it's like all downhill now because Titanfall 2 is like one of the best ones.
Yeah. I mean, it was free. It fell right in my lap.
Titanfall 2 is great.
Yeah. So I played probably about half of the campaign. I got up through the point where you fight Ash, and then a little bit beyond that. Probably about 4 or 5 hours into the campaign, and then we played online multiplayer. And you know how you could do like that, like PlayStation, Sony, like summary of your year, like for last year. For last year, for all of 2019, I had 3 hours of online gaming, and it was playing Neo 2 co-op with Jason. 3 hours. So I just did 3 hours on Saturday. So I've already matched what I did in all of 2019 for online playing on PS4. Nice. I sucked really bad, but you know what? He was a good sport about it. We won 2 matches out of like 10.
There you go.
Yeah. I think my best was I had a couple with like 8 to 10 kills.
Nice.
But that was fun. I had a lot more fun with that. Like I played an Overwatch free weekend in the fall of 2017, but otherwise I haven't like played or owned an FPS game since PS2, one of the last CODs on PS2.
Okay.
So it's been a hot minute. But otherwise I went back into some of the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC because I hate myself. That is a hard DLC. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but that was
we've heard some things.
Well, I will ask you this. How does one know anything about Kingdom Hearts actually?
Because one grows up with it.
Because like I played, I was a big fan of the first 2. I played them when they came out. And then over the years, over the decade and a half since 2, I've like tried to look into how the other ones have sort of played out. I actually on PS3 I bought the remasters that came out, and then I looked into like the differences, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I never actually played them.
It's not easy to keep up with, and I like at our age, you start to grow out of it, and the story gets really convoluted, and it's spread all over these different consoles, and blah blah blah. It takes a lot to keep up with Kingdom Hearts, and the main numbered installments are a breed unto themselves. They're a higher quality generally of game than the other ones. Although Birth by Sleep is very very good. Not my personal favorite, but it's still very good story wise. Especially for what you think of it, like it's a handheld game. It's phenomenal in that regard. But yeah, the DLC, it was like Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, where they added in the 13 organization fights and the Lingering Will. They essentially added 14 bosses into the end of the DLC. Yeah. And they are ridiculous. I can't remember the last time I came this close to breaking my hand playing a video game, not just from the sheer difficulty, but from throwing punches at solid objects. It was very difficult.
Hashtag gamer rage.
It was so hard. And then of course, when I got to the 14th one, who is the hardest, he's the secret, super secret, extra, ultimate, final, why did they make this boss?
Isn't it young Xehanort?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he's one of the first 13 fights.
Okay.
But he was actually one of the easier ones. Spoilers, I don't know. Spoilers. It's this guy. I mean, this was totally.
We're not gonna remember it, and
yeah.
we don't know the story. So.
His name is Yozora. He basically looks like Riku if you smash him
Yozora.
Together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you smash him together with Riku and the FF15 protagonist Noctis, that guy.
Okay.
He was a pain. It took me about 5 hours to get his pattern like down really well, so I could do like the first phase totally hitless and stuff like that. But of course, it was one of those ones where you finally beat it, but the one you won on was not a clean run at all, so you weren't super proud of it. Like
right.
one of those.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But otherwise, my gaming addiction, like absolute addiction, I've put 50 hours into it in the past like couple, like maybe two plus weeks, which is more than I've done in a long time. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 I pulled out of the backlog on the Switch.
Nice.
Holy crap, I did not expect to love this game. It's been sitting in my backlog a good long while because I was very hesitant. I'd heard a lot of things about it. And I cannot put it down. Absolutely cannot put it down. And that's why I have not slept in days.
Okay. So,
I mean, that's good that you're enjoying a game you invested in. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't let it take its toll on you though. Like get your sleep. You need it. I do have some questions because sure. I don't think I've ever played Xenoblade Chronicles like 1 or 2. I played X on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
How does this compare to that?
I don't know X personally. So, I mean, the way I would describe 2 is the story and setting don't seem like it at first, but it's got a little bit of an FF10 vibe to it, but the combat has an FF12 vibe to it. Where it's
that means absolutely nothing to me, actually.
So in other terms, it's a high fantasy setting. There's a lot of like war, like the beginnings of a war going on. You know, something happened 500 years ago is about to repeat itself.
Oh, it's a JRPG. Got it.
Yeah, you got it. The Church of Evil, you got it. And the combat is like, it's almost like a lot of people call it passive, and that I feel like that is a very false conception about it. Okay. Because I think the problem with the game is it doesn't do a great job of explaining the combat system, so you can miss the nuance of it without going to like a YouTube video to really understand it. But once you understand it, it's really tactical and really about building your team and setting up these like chain combos, which are based on like the elements that you string together. Like you have your typical healers and tanks and attackers, and then you want to chain like fire and water and like light and dark and all this stuff. You want to chain it together and pick on weaknesses. And when you chain it together, you can do burst attacks and like literally just blow up the entire screen. It's really fun. And it's almost like a MMO in the sense that there's an auto attack going on the whole time. So you don't do your melee attacks, you only do your special attacks, but there's so much to manage. And it's very much, if you took every mechanic ever put into an RPG and threw it in one game with every Japanese trope ever made, that is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like you've got the maid character, you've got the stoic character, you've got the hot spring scene, you've got the weird humor, you've got the not clothed, you've got everything. You've got the quirky animal like mascot. Yep. But then at the same time, there's so much to manage. Like there's like 5 gauges on the screen during combat that you have to constantly be managing, and you're running quests and side quests, and you have these like automated quests where if you have characters that you're not using, you could send them off to get you like extra points and stuff. So you have to do time management, and sometimes that affects what quests you have available. And then like you and your weapons, which are like characters in and of themselves, everyone has a skill tree, everyone needs equipment, everyone needs upgrading and crafting and everything. It's literally every RPG system that's ever existed, and it's a lot to focus on, and I like to have all that management. Sounds
like you need it's like a second job, you know.
Yeah,
like
you need 2 brains.
I work 16-hour days. Well, 8 at a real job and then 8 at my Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
It's like,
job.
Do you have the personality of the Pepe Sylvia scene and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is for you.
Yeah. It's taken me by surprise because a lot of, like, I heard a lot of divisive things about, like, the combat not being fun and the voice acting being terrible. Second one is pretty true. There are moments where the English voice acting really ruins it, but there is a free Japanese download. And my really only big complaint about the game is that it makes a huge mistake in terms of open world design that I really, really hate and have never seen as big of a example of it as this is when, you know how sometimes you're running around in open world, you'll come up, like you're like a level 40 party and you'll just like randomly, there's like level 80 stuff mixed in with like your other enemies that are in your 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Everywhere. Like when you're level 5, there's level 75 birds just following you around, one shot killing you while you're trying to walk to a quest marker. It's very annoying. That's my one big complaint about the game. But otherwise, the story and the world building and the characters are really, really engrossing, and the RPG mechanics are just everywhere and well executed.
I remember getting into an argument with somebody about why that was bad design, because that happened in X a lot too, and their response to me was, "But you like Bloodborne, so that should be right up."
No,
I'm like, no, that's not actually how that works. Like, because the first real open world game that really stuck with me was Fallout 3, and I remember if you took a wrong turn into like a super mutant or a deathclaw, you would die, and then you just not go that way again. Mm-hmm. In the Xenoblade games, that's not an option because
it's like a main story quest, and it's like, okay, you're supposed to be level 35. Walk through this area that's full of level 85 stuff. Go ahead.
Yep.
Just go ahead. And it's literally
I dare
that
you.
way on purpose.
In fact, no, that's the way. That's the only path.
And the problem is this stuff like can hit you while you're running. I've tried hiding. There's these giant birds in like one of the starting areas. I tried hiding from them. They can shoot their attacks through solid walls and hit you. And I was just like, yeah, nope, I'm done.
Yep, JRPGs, yep.
It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
And,
no more.
And yeah, I was just like, I mean, and it was weird because Xenoblade Chronicles X was a pretty barren world anyway. Like, it was, I mean, like it made Breath of the Wild look like it had way too much going on in it.
Yeah, this is a very populous world, maybe too much. It does have some serious performance issues even when docked. Mm-hmm. Like if you fast travel, there's pretty much no chance that you're gonna fast travel and load into an environment without there being like no textures on anything for the first second that you're there. Like there's really bad texture pop in and draw distance sometimes, especially in highly populated areas, or like I said, when you're fast traveling and stuff like that.
I feel like that's just a Nintendo Switch thing.
Yeah, I mean, some games handle it better than others. I feel like there might be they could have made some cuts that they just didn't, and it affects the frame rate and the textures and stuff like that.
Right. But despite all that, you're enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I can't put it down. Like I have to force myself to go to bed after this because if I pick that up, I will be up till 3-4 a.m. and I leave for work at like 6:50 in the morning.
That wouldn't be good.
No,
2 hours of sleep.
I would go as far as to say that would be bad.
Maybe. I don't know.
Real bad.
Anything else?
No, those are my 3. So
I have a Kingdom Hearts question.
Yeah, go ahead. I dare you.
So, if I play 4 of the bosses, I can like review the game, right? Yes. Callback. Last episode. Boom.
Oh my god! Did you guys see that? The IGN guy reviewed it, and he hadn't beaten the DLC. So the DLC, it's like a 5-hour story segment that overlaps with the end of the game and shows you like other characters' perspectives and stuff that you didn't see going on while you were playing the end game. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you have the data battles, which is 13 bosses, and then the super secret boss is the 14th. And the guy reviewed it after beating 4 of the bosses, and I was like, "You didn't."
Well,
like,
hang on. Before we just lay it, I just have some questions.
Yeah.
Are these like the Valkyrie fights in God of War? where they're essentially a side thing. You don't necessarily have to do them to beat the game. I don't really think I think you could review God of War 2018.
Yes, but this is the DLC. The DLC is essentially a 5-hour story bit and 14 boss fights. So he played the 5-hour story bit and 4 out of the 14 boss fights, which unlocks like the super secret ending. And he like criticized the game for not adding anything to the story, but he didn't get to the ending.
Okay. So he criticized it, brought it down, but without sort of saying like, "Hey, I didn't do the rest of these, so I don't know what's after."
Oh, he said he didn't do it. That's the weird part.
He literally said, "I only beat 4 of them."
Right.
He said, I didn't do this.
But okay. But did he say like that he doesn't know if there's anything that comes of it, or?
No, he just basically said I didn't finish it, and there was like it was too hard. First of all, it was too hard. No, like
IGN does that crap.
Well, the thing is, the community asked for a difficulty bump because the base game was criticized for being too easy, and now the DLC is too hard. And Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix was just as hard as this KH3 DLC, which is the equivalent now of a Final Mix, because back when KH2 came out, you couldn't just do digital updates.
Right.
So it was just like, he didn't have his thumb on the pulse of the community, but people were defending him like, oh, he's played the other Kingdom Hearts games. I'm like, I don't care. He didn't finish like a 10-hour DLC and he's going to review it. Like, I understand if like, let's say you were reviewing Xenoblade Chronicles. I'd say at 50 hours in, I'd be in a good position to review it, but I haven't finished the story. So I would have to admit that. Like if I were going to go critique,
it's a disclosure thing. Yeah. Like
yes.
at least go the extra mile and say, hey, I'm reviewing based on this.
Yes. Like Obilisk was something that we do for longer games where we really want to get it out within the first 48 hours. We don't have a review copy or anything like that. So let's say like, name a big Breath of the Wild comes out and we want to review it. We have a special review category called the first 48, where it's like what your first 2 days with the game is like, sort of type of opinion like that, where you're very upfront with what your experience of the game has been. And you don't make any final conclusions because you haven't played the end of the game.
Smart.
Yeah, but the point is, this is such a small piece of content too. It's not an 80-hour game. It's a 10-hour DLC. You kind of need to finish it.
Okay, now I'm not saying this to sort of like pick on you per se, but I'm just going by what was said earlier, because you did say you spent 5 hours on the final one. Yes.
Yeah, that
so,
was yeah.
That turned the 10-hour thing into 15.
Yeah, but that's like critical mode, like stuff like that. If you play it on like standard or easy, you drop it down, you have like the Kupo coin that lets you get up again. You can do it a lot faster.
Oh, okay, all right.
I had myself
stuff I didn't know, but okay. So basically what you're saying is there are ways he could have just taken the extra time to do this.
Yeah, the problem is the DLC is made for people who essentially platinum the game or at least have a level 99 character, to make it manageable. Like it's one of those where you can't just walk in with a level 50 character and expect to have an easy time of it. So I'm assuming that he probably reviewed KH3 and then stopped. So his character was not set up to play this DLC the way it was meant to be played.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if he had said that and given context, the other problem is it's just clickbait. People read a title and they think they know everything about what the
of course.
So
of course, yeah. They read the title, they read the score. If the place still does scores, and then they're like, oh. 7.5 why are they giving it a bad game review?
Yeah, 7.5 not being bad, but
it's not.
Being that it
is
been
on the internet.
Yeah, I know.
Anything below 8 is bad.
Anything below like a 10 is bad nowadays.
Yeah. Well, IGN.
I don't know. I'm gonna read.
IGN now is only doing the whole numbers. They got rid of their point whatevers.
I know they did that.
I don't know if a game gets a 3. I'm reading that review. I want to know why it got a 3.
Those are some of the funniest and best reviews to read, though, or to watch. Those are
that
fun.
Better be entertaining. Why it's so bad?
Yeah, like the Decay of Logos review. That's fun. That is a fun read.
Yeah, that's
that game.
That's a journey.
Oh my god. Yeah, the
I'm
bad
dead again.
reviews,
I'm dead again.
Not video games, but my favorite reviews to read within the past few months was when Cats came out in theaters.
The worst.
Those
What was
were
the Ricky Gervais
hilarious.
one? The worst thing to happen to cats since
Since
dogs.
Yeah.
No, my personal favorite Cats review was just woof.
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, those are fun to, but like in all seriousness, it was just not like he tried to make, the problem is that he tried to make final conclusions about it being not a complete package, but he didn't complete it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think any other Kingdom Hearts questions, Jason?
Should I just avoid it altogether? Because I think if I go down that rabbit hole,
Here, as someone who's played the first two games, I will say this: I loved those games. If you were to ask me what happened in any of them, I could not tell you.
Yeah.
Because even I remember, on PS2 playing them, I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. The combat in this game is really fun, and that was kind of how I got through all of them, or both of them.
That's one of the things that really improved in the DLC. They took everybody's complaints about like, oh, this mechanic is a little too floaty, or this mechanic doesn't have enough range, and they tweaked it and they made those improvements along with everything else. So like there was free updates for the DLC, and then there was the paid DLC.
Right.
So they made a lot of gameplay improvements and stuff, and they like added keyblades and stuff for free, which was great.
Okay. So you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, I assume.
I am, although at this point, like by the time another numbers installment comes out, I'll be 30, 40, 50 years old, and have outgrown it.
You'll still play games.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I will retire by the. Well, who am I kidding? I'm never gonna retire.
From what?
Not the way this government's working. But I'm pretty sure I will be way older than I am now by the time another Kingdom Hearts anything comes out.
Yeah, no. By the time FF7 Part 2 comes out, I'll be retired, living in a home with no teeth, so it'll be fine.
Jesus.
Applesauce all day, every day.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that's what it was like? If that's when it came out?
Speaking of, 100 gigabyte.
Yeah, that's the norm now. Last of Us Part 2 is the same. Red Dead was like that. It's the end
Every
of the
Call of Duty patch is that.
Yeah, it's the end of the generation. They're trying to make these games that are going to be optimized for the next gen consoles, so the storage of the current gen consoles can't handle it.
Well, what was it? Sony Bend released a patch for Days Gone. It was 30 gigs, but it decreased the overall file size.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Wait, you added 30? But this is like that scene in Die Hard 3. The 5 pound, the 5 gallon, and the 3 gallon, and we got to get the 4 gallon. So we're gonna add 30 gigs. We already have this, so we got to get the smaller.
I just see that meme, that GIF of who is it, like Claire Danes or something, trying to do math.
Oh,
They're like, we're gonna send out a 30 gig patch, but we're gonna take out all the parts of the game that we don't like, and hopefully nobody will notice.
I loaded up Days Gone yesterday. It was siphon filter. So weird.
That's funny.
Yeah, watch, all of a sudden Days Gone is Uncharted Golden Abyss. That'd be weird. Moose.
Yeah.
Well, talk to me about games, sir.
Just, they're good.
Yeah, they are. No, fair.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcasting school really paid off.
Just Division
known for
2.
being the most verbose one on the podcast, Moose.
Division 2, Dark Souls 3. I did play some more Bloodborne. I started a whatchamacallit. All right, so hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Hear him out. Hear him out. So you can't say hear me out. You have to say hear me out again.
Hear me out.
Has there been an episode where you didn't play Bloodborne? Like, oh, I just
Yes, there have been plenty of episodes where I did not play Bloodborne.
Okay, or Dark Souls 3.
7?
It's been a while.
It's
Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3.
It took 7 episodes before he really. He almost made double digits. I had so much hope. I owe you $100, Matt, for that bet. Anyway.
Anyways,
we can go double or nothing on another 10.
So I was helping a friend co-op
He's always
some bosses.
helping a friend.
Oh yeah, he's
No, I
blaming
was.
somebody else. Here he goes.
His second account. He's helping a friend.
Yes.
Wait a minute! I swear to God, last episode you said you were doing the DLC, or was that Dark Souls 3 where you don't know the DLC as well?
No, it was
I don't
Bloodborne.
know. I don't know
Totally
the
Bloodborne.
I don't know the DLC in Dark Souls 3.
He
Like,
does it so much it all
terrible.
just runs together at this point.
He doesn't know what FromSoft game he's playing.
no, I do. I do know what.
My
exactly
favorite part
what
of
it
Metal
is.
Wolf Chaos is where you take out the giant hammer and put your sword in it. It's great. That's not Metal Wolf Chaos, Moose.
All right. Anyways, moving along, Division 2.
You got to tell us about Bloodborne, Moose.
Anyways, I was helping a buddy kill Orphan of Cause because he was having a bad time, and he was just like, I just want to move on and finish the boss. And so he had a bunch of optional bosses he didn't beat. He didn't beat like Daughter of Abridas. He didn't beat Living Failures, obviously, or
Carl.
no, he did beat Parl,
Okay.
but Ligarius, he didn't beat Ligarius. So
The Orphan is a bad time. I can speak from experience.
yeah, so he was just like, he was just getting worn thin, and I was like, yeah, well, I can jump in and help you. So I jumped in and helped him, and then we beat like Larry, and then did like one of the first Chalice dungeons, and then I was like, man, got bit by the bug again, and I was like, man, I haven't played this in forever. I'm so rusty, and so I just started a Saw Cleaver run because I never really did a Saw Cleaver run with the game. So I was like, well, I'll just do a D-Rust. And so started playing Saw Cleaver. So having a good time. But anyway.
He deleted the
Bloodborne
game
is
at
good.
some point, but
I did.
I don't believe it.
No, I did. I
Thank you,
did.
Michaela.
I did.
I swear to God, though, if you open up episode 6, I think 6 was the last one. You open that up, you're gonna say Orphan of Coast. I swear to God, it's
No, you're correct. You're correct. You're correct.
Yes,
I'm just glad
he
someone
did.
else is. I'm just glad someone else is saying it other than one of us.
he did
Because if it's one of
mention it,
us, he's not going to listen. He doesn't care.
Because if I remember correctly, he was describing the weapon the Orphan uses, and I think it led to a "that's what she said" moment. Cause
It led to
was-
several of them.
Yes.
It led to because you're like because he's like, I got stuck on the Orphan of Cos's mother, and Jason's like, yeah, out of context, that makes sense. And then he's like,
Call
well,
it.
she's a fish, and he comes at him. You're like, not helping. Yeah, no, I remember it.
Oh, for the love
Moose.
of God, just release Bloodborne 2.
Right?
Anyways.
Wait.
Moose,
Have you
I want
played Zero
you
yet?
to know.
You know
I
they
want
made
you-
another one.
I want you to know all of this comes from a place of love.
We're just worried about you.
You don't need to. I played Division 2. I played way more other games than I did Bloodborne. So I'm okay. I'm okay, guys. Thanks for the concern. This does not need to be an intervention.
Yet.
Anyways, so played some of that. Played some Dark Souls 3. Having fun co-oping with that. But then, like, the main attraction, like I was saying, you know, what you should pick up, Michaela, is Division 2, since it's like the cost of a large coffee at Starbucks. It's
Let's
like
talk about management.
$3.20. Well, she said she wanted to put shooters into her category.
I have-
No,
I
she
guess I
said
gotta
she
do
said
Borderlands 3. I need help with that.
2.
she said
I gotta-
FPS.
Yes, I've
Well,
got yeah,
it's a shooter.
yeah. I've got
so
Not
Borderlands.
not
and-
not TPCS.
nobody asked you.
Fair. True.
Anyways, well, if you have Borderlands 3 to play through, me and Jason can help you with that.
yes.
So,
I get to it.
did play some of that because the
Broken Hearts.
the Broken Hearts event's going on, and then also the level cap went to 53, which is
Did they
nice.
do a DLC last week too,
No,
or was that
the
2 weeks ago?
No, they're announcing the DLC at PAX East.
Yeah.
I think they're going to
Oh,
show
okay.
it at PAX East. So that's what, the end of the month,
Yeah.
like the last
Yep.
weekend of February.
Is
Yep.
I thought that was in March. PAX.
Nope, they moved it this year.
It usually is. They
What?
moved it.
Because
like,
of leap year.
It's
really-
early. It's a
real
leap year, so
early.
it's earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to misland the leap, so they want to do it before the leap. That's a bad joke. Anyway, continue, Moose.
So been playing those. And that's pretty much it. Like a bunch of streamer friends have bought Division 2, so we were just rolling, playing last night, having a ball. And I think when I first was playing that game, you just get burnt out on so much stuff to do that like I lost interest. But now getting back into it, I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. I want to get this weapon. I want to get this, and move towards like trying to get some real good end gear stuff. I tried PvP for the first time tonight, which was not pretty.
No, it's not. I got the PvP stuff out of the way early. It sucks.
Because if you're not rolling with people whoo, you get owned. Like really, like it's terrible. But anyways, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, all in all, just playing the regular stuff. I've been meaning to start my Resident Evil 2 playthrough on stream, which I'll probably start tomorrow. I don't stream usually on Mondays just because we do this. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be like streaming and then be like an hour in and be like, I got to quit to go to my podcast. Bye. So I just don't stream on
Actually, you know what? From now on, you have to start streaming just so you can say that every time.
But so
that's your sign off.
Bye.
Bye. But anyway, so I'm actually looking forward to playing it because it's been a while since I've Resident Evil 2 was like so long ago. I was real young at the time, but yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That was a pre-Bloodborne era.
It was a pre.
Was there such a time?
I know, right?
Fuck y'all.
Question though. Serious question. Who do you start with for Resi 2?
I will probably start with Leon. So nothing against Claire, just that's who I started with.
My personal favorite is the tofu guy. Please get to the tofu guy.
Well, that's that.
Cool. So as we've said, I didn't play any console games this week. I started. Well, I'll talk about the cool thing that happened this weekend. My wife, we played through Florence on iPhone. Florence is right there. It's a relationship kind of puzzly game. So just a quick story. Game takes about an hour. It was a game that I think it came out 2017 or 2018. I don't remember. I came to it, well after Game of the Year time, but had I gotten to it before, I would have really championed it. It's a really cool story about coming into a relationship and everything falling apart and moving on. It's really cool. It was something that I played, and I'm like, I said to my wife, I really think you should try this at some point. And, now that we've recently updated our phones, I've been playing more. I've been trying to play more phone games, stuff that I haven't played in a while and stuff that I've missed. But she played through it for an hour, seemed to like it. She's like, wow, I wasn't expecting anything like this. And so that was a cool experience to have with her. And then early last week, I started playing a mech visual novel called Heaven Will Be Mine. Basically, it's basically a more Kentucky Route Zero nonsense where it's just a lot of reading. Awesome. It's a really cool story. I really like it. I like the themes of growing apart in it. But I will say this, the gameplay is basically touching the screen to make the text go. It's not like there's very little action in it, if any. But I genuinely like the story. It's nice to get back to that again after a couple of years. And then I downloaded both Monument Valley games, and
I endorsed that. I love the first one.
And went through them again. They are really, really good puzzle games. And then a couple of weeks ago, I re-downloaded Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery by Cappy. And yeah, for that game is I think that game is a decade old now.
I think you're right.
And holy shit, it's still good. It's a phenomenal soundtrack, it's actually available to purchase on vinyl at IM 8-bit right now. And it actually does, melee combat really, really well on a touchscreen. So you should check it out if you haven't. And you don't even need Apple Arcade to play any of it. You can these are games that you just pay for outright and you have forever. All of them are fun. They're all stuff except for they're all things that I've played before. So hopefully I will have something new to talk about next week.
I knock phone games, but one of my favorite phone games is Kingdom Rush.
Oh, Kingdom Rush is great.
Kingdom Rush Frontiers comes to Switch next week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I love me tower defense games.
Tower defense games are good.
I'm curious how it'll work on Switch.
I haven't played it yet, but I also downloaded Super Hexagon. That's another really good phone game. Phone games are good. Don't knock them.
No, I know.
There are some good ones.
Yeah.
I have Final Fantasy 3 on my phone.
I got go 6.
Have you tried Bleak Sword?
No, I have not. I think that's only Apple Arcade though. I haven't signed up for that. I look at that button on my phone. I'm like, I should just do it, and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
It might not. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that game's going to stay exclusive. So, because Exit the Gungeon was available there only for a while, and now it's coming on consoles like later this year. So I have a feeling Bleak Sword will be on consoles later this year.
Oh yeah, I bet it will too. I mean, I know Exit the Gungeon is right now available on Steam.
For pre-purchase.
Very nice.
But yeah, that's a game I want to try. But once I actually take the plunge and do Apple Arcade, I'll be playing a lot more of that. And it's nice that it's nice to have a phone that won't melt when I try and play a game on it. So
yeah, I bet you that is nice.
I'm not ashamed of playing phone games while I'm watching anime or weird art films, because I started watching Evangelion again, and that's a good anime. That's a real good anime.
Okay.
I like saying that just so it just makes Moose just a little bit more angry.
I'm not really angry. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Rot your brain with what you want to rot your brain with.
That's true. It's true. Trauma teens and giant robots. Good time. So yeah, that's really it in terms of games for me. I had something I wanted to talk about that happened this week, but I'm actually blanking on it because I didn't have a chance to refer to it before the show. So any weird happenings that you guys would like to talk about?
Last time Michaela was on Nerds Gone Platinum, or maybe it was the time before, and then her clairvoyance was tested, and then so with Final Fantasy coming out very soon, we were going to revisit this, but here I need to know, where does the game end? Because they have to tell us.
Exactly where does it end?
No, just a roundabout, like when you get the game and you beat it, where are you stopping? Because it's not going to be the end of the game.
No, they said it's going to focus on Midgar. And knowing them, that means the entire game takes place in Midgar. People are holding out hope that they only said it focuses on Midgar, so you could totally go beyond that. And I think it's going to stop before, I don't know how well you guys know the original. I think it's going to stop before you get to the forest where you have your first chance to get Yuffie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll stop before Yuffie gets introduced. So I'm thinking a lot of people are predicting, did you see that key art they released where it's the end of the motorcycle chase scene and they're all up on that road and it's a nice twilight, dawn, or dawn. I don't know what time of day it is. It's one of those sunset, sunrise filters on it. Looked really, really nice. I would not actually be surprised if that was the end of the game.
Ooh. Not gonna go all Sopranos, just black screen.
It just cuts out in the middle of a sentence. Nomura didn't bother to finish writing it.
And
yet, for some reason, Woke Up This Morning is playing.
Do you think we find out shortly after release when to expect the next, or no?
No, they're gonna be cagey. They're gonna be cagey about it. I think maybe. Well, their terrible habit is they announce games 5 to 6 years before they come out. In terms of yeah, it'll be 5 years. 5 years almost, because it was E3 2015 they announced FF7 remake.
Yeah,
coming out.
That's right.
I remember 2017. People were like, "Where's Final Fantasy VII?" I'm like, they hadn't started it when they announced it. Of course, this is going to take forever.
Yeah, but and Kingdom Hearts was 6 years. It was announced in 2013, came out in 2019. Mm-hmm. But they can't get away with that. They can't have 6 years between parts, because let's say it's even just 3 parts. It's going to take 12 years for them to finish FF7. That can't happen. So I'm thinking it'll be 3 years apart, maybe 2 to 3 years apart. I'd be happy with 2. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3. So maybe at the earliest would be, if E3 still exists in the same format, the Square Enix press conference at E3 of next year, where they start to give early details about part 2.
And how do you think they handle the disc issue if you buy a physical? Are you going to have to reload? Is it going to be like old school PlayStation? Please enter this one. Please insert this.
So good.
No, I think we're beyond.
I want them to do that anyway. Just like, do that anyway.
Fuck with the system.
That would be cool.
Walk into Midgar. Insert this one. Walk back out.
Memory card not found.
Oh God.
It'd be like it took us this long to get back to Psycho Manus messing with your save files.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to be treated as completely separate games with separate installs, I think. Because also because of how big they are. Like, no, you need 300 gigs of space for FF7.
Oh, that Platinum's going to be a nightmare then.
I don't think so. Their Platinums really aren't that bad. Like the KH3 Platinum was, I mean, to be honest, it probably took me about 80 hours to do it, but
that's just because it's Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, but FF7's it's the same type
the Final Fantasies haven't had hard ones. I'm just thinking if you own all physical, it's to bounce back and forth. It's like, insert new disc. And at 100 gigabytes, three of them.
Are they really going to be 2 separate discs, or is it going to be a Red Dead situation where like one's the installed disc and then you only need the second one to play it?
Yeah, it says 2 Blu-rays, but
and The Last of Us is going to be the same.
Well, I think they're saying 2 Blu-rays worth of content, right?
Isn't that what they're saying? But like in Red Dead's case, I think the way that they did it, it's got to be the way to, like, I don't think people are going to be switching discs anymore. I think it'll be one's an install disc and one's the disc you need in the console to play if you're doing physical.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot that releasing that is actually because like I was thinking 2 Blu-rays as just like a sort of a size idea where like you'll put in the disc and then they'll download a patch because we exist in the era of day one patches.
Do we?
Yes.
Sadly.
But so then I remember seeing that they're releasing 2 Blu-rays.
Yeah, it's just because it's too big. The file, if it's a 100 gigabyte game, Blu-ray can hold what, 50 gigs max?
Yeah, and I still have this weird feeling that a lot of people because I think Final Fantasy VII was the game before Last of Us that everyone talked about as like their favorite piece of media ever, which is silly to me. Not that it's final, not that that's their favorite thing, but like it's I don't know. I don't have the attachment to Final Fantasy that most do.
7's not my personal favorite, so you can throw whatever critical.
I'm not here to crap on it, but I feel like it's one of those highly regarded, heralded titles that if they mess with, the chance for backlash is severely high.
Yeah, that's what I think. I said it earlier. I think a lot of people are going to love it, and there's going to be a small slice of the audience that's going to find every reason in the world to hate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I have no attachment either way. I'm probably never going to play it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played it yet, so why start now?
Yeah. But some of the more recent trailers show that they're really trying to do a good job with it, and we know that they're adding content, so there's going to be stuff in it where if you even played the first one, the original one, religiously, you're not going to know everything that's in the game. But one of the things,
like, you're adding to it, just like, why wasn't that? I feel like
because of limitations, because of technological limitations. Like, they had to put the thing on 3 discs as it was, and people weren't like to scale with the buildings, and there was no voice acting and everything. So, and there was no expressions really. You had a bunch of polygons. It was the first non-Nintendo really Final Fantasy, first one for the PlayStation. So there was a lot of technical limitations, and there's so many things that they wanted to put in the game, but physically couldn't. They weren't capable of it at the time. And so I think that's a lot of, because it's Katase and it's Nomura and it's a lot of the old Square Enix guard that's come back to work on this. I think those original ideas, a lot of them are going to come from the 90s, and they're now just able to do it. But there are some things that are changing out of necessity, because some of the things have not aged as well, or if you have voice acting and facial expressions and stuff like that, some of the scenes are not going to be like the trailer before the opening movie that they just released was the Honey Bee Inn stuff, which is a very sensitive topic, and a lot of fans really, really wanted it in the game. I personally am hyped for the Cloud like cross-dressing stuff just because it's hilarious and it's classic.
It was
funny. But they have to be very, very careful with how they treat that, like all those dudes in the hot tub scene and stuff like that, because some of it is not.
It hasn't aged well.
No, it's not politically correct in the least.
Yeah. But see, now, so then it becomes, at which point does it become Greedo shooting first?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a high potential for that here.
Yeah, they're walking a very thin line, but so far they've done it. Like when they released that trailer where it's the trailer at the Honey Bee Inn with Cloud cross-dressing, his dress is the wrong color, but maybe there's multiple dresses based on what activities you do, like there was in the original game. I don't know, but it was supposed to be purple, just saying. When they
needed to say that all, didn't you?
I really did, or else I might have exploded.
Like, it's just hang on, just let me get all this out
before I make my actual point. Yeah, they added
Strap in, boys.
Yeah, they added that character to the Honey Bee Inn, the one who like dances with Cloud, and there's fireworks going off everywhere, and he has that line about gender fluidity and stuff like that, where it seems to be they're keeping the essence of the old game while adapting it for modernity in a way that's not ruining the spirit of the game or intentionally offending anyone or making it like they're just doing it because it's PC. They seem to be walking this very fine line based on trailers. We'll find out for sure when the game comes out in full and people start to tear it apart. But so far, I have high hopes.
Okay. I think the most problematic thing I've heard about it is Barrett. Is that a character?
Yes, Barrett.
Okay. That's just whatever.
I don't know. I think the biggest outrage I've seen so far is, did they make Tifa's boobs smaller?
Well, no, that was definitely the people were vocal about, because this gamers are weird.
I think they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
No. There was like I remember for like a solid month.
Tifa
explaining sports bras, how sports bras work.
Oh yeah, and then like people started quoting like an 8-year-old Jenna Marbles video, like, "Hey, this is how sports bras work, guys."
Oh my God.
And the Tifa thing is, whew. But I also heard other people saying like, "Yo, Barrett kind of sounds like a stereotype. No one's talking about this because they're so worried about the size of Tifa's chest."
Yeah. I mean, Barrett, the one thing is, Barrett has always been a very, like, half his lines had to be, like, bleeped out in there was no voice, but, like, they were, like, all those, like, stars and percentages and stuff like that. They couldn't, and now he's, like, actually allowed to swear and stuff in the real game. So I'll be curious to see how far they push the envelope with his character and his relationships with Marlene and stuff like that.
Okay.
Well, his daughter, for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. You could have gone anywhere with that.
I don't think I've ever been this eager to find out about a game that I have no intention on playing.
Yeah.
Like I've played Final Fantasy VII. I've beaten it. I doubt I'll play it again, but I'm curious about the things like where does it end? Like what parts are there? How many parts? Like how they're gonna do? Like I think
3 is reasonable. I don't know. What do you think? I think 3 is reasonable.
3's.
But the whole first thing is Midgar. That's like maybe 20% of the story. So it's a little bit less than a third when you think about the original.
There's actually a fifth.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's 5.
Yeah, it's just, but it's a less, I'm thinking of, it's less, it's like 20% of the original story, but they're also adding stuff that wasn't in the original game. So I'm thinking like maybe a little bit less than what I would imagine to be a third of the overall game. I'm doing math with a former English major's brain, so please just excuse.
Oh, no, do your thing. Do your thing.
And as much as, because the only one I want.
I could tell that your Xenoblade Chronicles 2 experience has informed the way you're talking about this. Because you've like been, you look like someone who's like spinning pots on sticks, and you're just like, okay.
Well, it's like I slept for 2 hours because I did.
And the only one I want remade is Final Fantasy VI. Even I'd be like, if this comes out and like, hey, we're redoing Final Fantasy VI from the ground up. Even the Final Fantasy VII fans are like, what the?
Wait. Question:
it's one game.
Do you want FF6 looking like the FF7 engine right now, or Octopath engine?
Oh, Octopath. Did you see?
Absolutely. I want it so bad. I've seen
what's his name? There's someone on Twitter. He posted screens of.
Yeah, I've seen multiple people posting them for the past like year or two.
So cool like that.
Oh my god. I would do a lot of things.
Because Final Fantasy VII, when like people, if you haven't played, like when you say polygons, it's literally like a circle on top of a triangle.
Seven's visually 7 has aged the worst, I think, out of any Final Fantasy game ever made.
Well, that entire era of games has aged poorly.
Yeah, but even 8 looks markedly like they don't even look like they were made by the same people. Like 7 to 8, and it's like a year apart. But they had experience under their belt. Like 8, you can see the setup for where they were going with like 10. 9, of course, deviated and went to a completely different aesthetic, but you can see the roots of 10 in how 8 looks.
Okay.
6 in Octopath would be amazing.
Yeah. I would pay like 3 times the worth of like a normal game for that any day. That is. Wow.
Speaking of paying 3 times the worth, I ended up buying the Prisoners edition of
Dead Cells.
Yeah, I did it.
Surprise.
I'm not, I'm like, I'll bet you Jason's gonna do it.
I'm glad you did it. I was like, they did an AMA today, and I was reading the responses. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting this. I'm supporting these guys.
Yeah. I mean, that's special reserve, right?
I think it's signature.
Signature, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. I always forget which limited run house is doing it. And I'm not like trying to say that they are all subsidiaries of limited run games, so don't at me. That's what I want to talk about. E3. Limited run games is doing a conference.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because
they ran out of people.
Well, they announced the conference because I guess when Jeff Keighley bowed out, they retweeted it and said, "Don't worry, we got this."
Actually, Q is not going to be there. I got you, fam.
Well, he just did Coliseum. He had nothing to do with like the press conferences, right?
Right. I like. I'll be honest, as someone who really only follows the press conferences, didn't know what Keighley was doing at E3. So
apparently, he's been doing it 25 years.
Yeah, I know he's been there to like every one of them, but like I just didn't. I never interacted with what he did at E3, unless he was on like a Giant Bomb podcast from E3, which he was a couple of times. But yeah, limited run doing a conference. I think that's cool. I mean,
they're super cool. Well, I met some of them at PAX. They're so cool. Like,
oh yeah,
you could tell how excited they are when they get to release a game.
Oh man, I mean they do it right too. Like the stuff that they do is very nice. I've ordered several soundtracks from them and never been disappointed.
They did some giveaway. They hit like 100,000 followers, and they gave away like a Switch Lite with like 25 limited run Switch games. It was insane. I'm like, can you imagine getting that? I think I have 5 limited run games now.
Mm-hmm.
I just got my first last year.
What'd you get?
What was that?
Transistor.
Yeah.
Ooh,
game.
very nice.
Couldn't resist the physical for Supergiant is my favorite indie studio, I think. So I couldn't let that go.
Yeah.
My first was Cosmic Star Heroine. Came in a Sega CD box. So cool.
Hipster.
That's the man with vital behind him.
Right? Takes one to know one, Moose.
No, it's just funny. I mean that's like Colin Moriarty calling people nerds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a nerd.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's got his game is coming out soon.
I think it already is out.
I think it's already
came out
out.
last week. Yeah. I think so. Sacred Symbols game.
I don't think it looks that good. Personally.
Yeah, I probably won't play it.
Yeah, I
What is
looked
it?
at this. I'm like,
Twin Breaker, right?
yeah.
I think so, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I pass.
That's a hard pass, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
not really like a hard pass. Just like, yeah, there's just nothing drawing me to it. There's nothing actually repelling me from it, but nothing drawing me to it.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'll give him that. Like,
Oh,
he's been in the
definitely.
game industry so long, and now he created a game.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. But but you probably have 2 camps of people like, oh my God, it's amazing. And it's like, it's really not. You're just saying this because you're a fan of him.
Right. Yeah.
Versus like, no, it's not that great.
Let's talk about other people that have been in the industry for a long time and that now they're making games like Supergiant. I mean, Greg Kasavin was managing editor at GameSpot. Went to EA for a couple of years, came out of it, and made one of the best indie games ever in Bastion. And they've been on a tear ever since. And every game that they've done is...
Hades should come out of early access, I think, late this year.
I think I think they're planning on... Did they
early access for Steam and
early access for Steam started December. So it came out, it was announced at the Game Awards year before last. It went into early access on Epic Games, and then I think this November, December went into early access on Steam. And this year I think it'll see the full PC release. So then maybe next year it'll come to consoles.
I feel like it'll probably be ported before that.
You think? Because they're usually almost like a good 6 to 8 months apart.
I mean, well, I think all of their games, with the exception of Bastion, all of them except Bastion came day and date everywhere. I know. I think
Pyre was separate.
Was Pyre separate? Yeah,
Pyre came to PC at least 6 months before console, and that one's my favorite.
Really?
Yes, Pyre is my favorite.
No. Pyre is my favorite too. It's not. I've
never met anybody else whose Pyre is their favorite.
Oh yeah, Pyre is my favorite one. I mean, I don't think it's their best. But
I don't know. I think it's their most unique, their most daring, and
exactly
something that nobody else did.
Yeah, like nothing is like that. There's no.
It's a point and click sports chess on fire game.
Yeah.
With decision making that matters.
Which I like. It's very similar to a tabletop game I really like called Guild Ball, and I wish that if there was going to be a Guild Ball video game, they should look at Pyre and say, "Hey, do that."
Yep. But now with Hades, they went backwards. They went back to the roguelikes. But this roguelike is freaking huge. I don't think it's huge. Yeah. Roguelikes you can usually beat in when you know the game 4 hours. I don't think you could beat this one in 4 hours.
Pyre was July 25th, PC and PS4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it never made it to the Switch.
No, it didn't.
Sucks.
Which it probably will.
They've said that they have no intentions of bringing it to the Switch the last time I checked.
Really?
Yeah.
I also think I could be 100% wrong here, but I also think it's their least successful game.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe. I know that their most name-checked one is still Bastion. That's the one that they're known for.
Yeah.
In terms of profitability, I don't know. But Bastion and Transistor are also available on more systems. I think they're both on mobile as well. Bastion, at the very least, is definitely on mobile.
Yeah.
Transistor is as well.
Yeah. Whereas Pyre was restricted a little bit more. But yeah.
Bastion and Transistor both translate to mobile better than than Pyre would, for sure.
Yeah, because Pyre, the combat would be very hard to do on a phone.
Yeah.
The point and click stuff, totally fine, but
Yeah. Maybe they could do a Pyre auto chess.
yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud. We should stop.
Pyre light.
Pyre auto battler. I mean, hey, it works for Dota and League. Why not try it? And I know that most of the people at that studio, most of the top people are Dota and League fans. Actually, they're probably more Dota fans than League fans.
I feel like there are like a core of like 10 people that have been there since Bastion, and they work really well together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're super. Play Super Giants games. All of you should.
I think
Bastion
Hades
was
is going to surpass
2011.
their other ones.
I think it will too. How many?
Bastion's almost 10 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Like
nuts.
I think of all their games that speak to me, Hades is the one that speaks the most because I have a roguelike problem. But
Wait, Bastion's 12 years old, isn't it?
No, it came out
2011.
2010. 2011, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it's this decade,
Okay.
for sure.
I have a run-like problem. I think I like run-like better.
I was thinking Castle Crashers.
Is that a word? Run
Yeah, no, it's right.
run like betters.
That's not a word. It's that time of the podcast
where words
wrap it up.
Okay.
Matt actually pointed out to me there's like roguelike, there's run like Dead Cells is a run like where each run kind of you don't lose everything.
Yeah. Like like what Dead
Rogue
Cells
like
in.
you're done.
Well, I thought that was the difference between rogue-like and rogue-lite.
See, now this is I'm going to say that there is a heated no, stay out of this.
No, that's a where the fuck did you go game.
Yeah, where the fuck do you go games. There are heated debates in the roguelike community about what the differential between a roguelike and a roguelite are. And depending on which definition of roguelike you're going to use, games like Spelunky, Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, they are completely kicked out of the genre because nothing is turn-based. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Okay, I have a question inspired by one of the albums behind you.
Okay.
You don't lose everything, but it's turn-based. Where does Darkest Dungeon sit?
Exactly. Darkest Dungeon is by that definition, it becomes it's a whole weird thing. I was listening, there's a podcast I listened to that hasn't put out an episode in a while. I'm not sure they're actually still going, but hopefully they are. It's called Roguelike Radio, and there was a guest that said the most recent roguelike to come out that is actually a roguelike is actually Crypt of the Necrodancer. Because while it's not,
it's like a rhythm game though.
It's rhythm game, but everything moves at the same time on rhythm, like a turn-based game. Where now it's a stretch, but if you turn off the rhythm part of Crypt of the Necrodancer, nothing moves unless you move. Whereas if you were to if the rhythm is on and you're just staying still, you're losing momentum and everything is moving around you. Again, it becomes a whole thing.
There's a thing with the drunken spider ant and a princess.
Right.
And
remember how you had to say all that stuff about that scene in Final Fantasy VII? Like, yes. I'm getting to that point where I just have to just word vomit at this place for like
I really just want to heap Moonlighter on top of this and throw the Stardew element in there.
Moonlighter's so good. So is Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is really good. But Stardew Valley, I don't know. That's not really a roguelike.
No, but it's Stardew, so I think of Moonlighter as like a roguelike mashed with Stardew because you have like account management.
Yeah, fair.
But again, it's not turn-based.
Right.
So what is a roguelite?
Yeah, what are video games? Let's get out of here. Michaela,
what's an RPG?
What are human beings?
What is life?
Michaela, thank you for joining us. Very happy to finally talk to you. Where can people find you again?
I'm at Obilisk, OBILISK.co, and I am pretty much everywhere is RedX Mod, MAUDE.
Cool. Follow her. She will bombard you with JRPG stuff.
Yeah.
And in the best way possible, if you ask me.
There's only one good way to do it, and that's the best way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we're not.
No.
You know where to find us because it's at the beginning and the end of the show. We're getting out of here. See you on the next one.
Peace out,
Later.
people.
I'm surprised you didn't go bye.
Bye.
Story Route Zero, we have some cool friends who do some cool things, and I'd like to tell you about them. Phoenix Overdrive uses the power of games and gamers to help heal sick kids through the charity Extra Life. Phoenix Overdrive fundraises for Children's Miracle Network hospitals all year, every year, and the fund culminates in a 24-hour gaming marathon. Find out more about their events and projects online via Facebook at facebook.com/Phoenix Overdrive or on Twitter and Instagram at PHX_Overdrive. You can also join the Facebook group of Pawn Stars at facebook.com/groups/PONation in order to share and discuss all the latest in nerd culture. They've also got a podcast, Nerd Overdrive, which you can see weekly at youtube.com/Phoenix Overdrive. You can also catch it on Facebook Live or twitch.tv/PHX_Overdrive. That podcast is also published on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. You want merch? They got merch. Merch can be ordered from tinyurl.com/PHXODmerch, a portion of which goes to their fundraising efforts. Join the nation and be a hero to sick kids, as El Capitan Rey Osorio, Lee the Maestro, and Becky, the lovely queen of the guild, always say, #Rise Above. This has been an episode of Story Route Zero. Thank you for coming along on this journey. We sincerely hope you enjoyed yourself as much as we enjoyed having you. Once again, you can find everything we do at StoryRoute0.com. Hit us up on Twitter at StoryRoute_0, or you can email us at StoryRoute0@gmail.com. If you'd like to hit us up individually anywhere, you can find Moose at Sven, that's SVHENN, everywhere on social media. That's PSN, that's Twitter, that's Instagram. You can also find him on Twitch, streaming games. You can find Jason Marshall at GimpyJ with 2 Y's at the end. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's Twitch, and he also has a website called whereisthepausebutton.com. Captain Canada is the only Story Route Zero exclusive. He's the only one you can only find right here on the show. As for me, I'm Infinite_Rewind everywhere I'd like to be. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's PSN, and Twitch. I also have my own website, InfiniteRewind.com, where I do all sorts of weird writing and rambling. Check us out at all the places. And remember, you are always welcome, and you will always have a seat waiting for you on this ride. But for now, it's back to the real world for us. We will see you on the next one.